Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasul. Amma ba'd, my dear beloved brothers and sisters. We have a subject that we're talking about, or a topic, which is controversial subjects. Subjects that are controversial, subjects that we hear it, and one imam or one sheikh says one thing, and the other person says something else. And one of the most controversial topics that we always talk about is bid'ah. We hear the word bid'ah. This is bid'ah, and bid'ah is haram. So we want to know, is every bid'ah haram, or what is a bid'ah? Or, sometimes something is big. You could tell that that's something wrong. So if they say it's bid'ah, I'll digest it. It's okay with me. But sometimes we hear the word bid'ah. I mean, there's a fatwa from very big scholars that says when you send Jum'ah Mubarak or happy Friday as a WhatsApp message, that's a bid'ah and it's haram. Is it? It's not. So we want to know, what does the word bid'ah means? Because we hear it a lot. Maybe sometimes we say it a lot, and we consider something haram because this sheikh said it's a bid'ah and it's haram. So what is the definition of bid'ah? To oversimplify, to fully understand what it is. Okay, so to understand what a bid'ah is, let's start with what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says. Ibn Taymiyyah says, when you want to talk about a subject, don't take one hadith and run with it. No, you get all the verses of the Quran and all the hadith and all the sayings of the scholars, gather them together, look at all of the proof that you have, and then you give your fatwa. You don't just take one hadith and make a fatwa. No, get everything in the subject, read it together, then generate your report based on it. So we have two hadith in the subject. The first hadith is the famous hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, إِيَّاكُمْ وَمُحْدَثَاتُ الْأُمُورِ. Stay far away from innovations in matters. فَإِنَّ كُلَّ مُحْدَثَةٍ بِدْعَةٍ. Because any innovation is a bid'ah. So what is a bid'ah? كُلَّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. Every bid'ah is a form of misguidance, and every misguidance leads to the hellfire. But to fully understand what this means, I need the other hadith that accompanies it and explains it more, which is the Prophet ﷺ says in the second hadith, "Man ahdatha fi amrina hadha ma laysa minhu fahuwa rad." Whoever innovates in our decision and judgment. Let's stop here before I finish the hadith. Whoever innovates in our judgment and decision. So there is the religion of Allah. There is things where Allah says, do this and don't do this. If somebody innovates in what Allah said do and don't do, not other things. So what does this distinction mean? It means there's matters of habits and culture and day-to-day life. There's no bid'ah in it. There's no innovation in it. There's no haram from the side of innovation in it. What does that mean? It means 100 years ago, you used to walk to the masjid. Good. Then you innovate and say, why don't I ride a horse? Good. Then you say, let's do a bike, and you created a bike. Better. You're innovating. Now you innovate, instead of a bike, let's get a motorcycle with a motor in it. Even better. Then you discover a car. Even better. Then you discover an electric car. Now you go to the masjid with an electric car. And tomorrow you're going to go with a rocket or spaceship or virtual transport. Better and better. Innovate in matters of dunya. I can't see before I just do that. No, I can do surgeries. I can do LASIK. I can wear glasses and I can see better with it. By all means, innovate in matters of dunya and habits. And that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're rewarded for doing. So in matters of dunya, we are supposed to innovate and come up with new creativity and new genius of things. Islam loves that, supports it, and pushes for it. And there's a lot of examples of that. Okay. And we'll see the technologies and how the Prophet ﷺ adopted it, whether it was in growing when they moved to Al-Medina, and how he came up with different ideas of vegetation, and how in the battle of Al-Khandaq, when they were getting attacked, Salman al-Farisi came with a different strategy that the Arab did not know about, but people of Persia did, and did the Khandaq. And so innovation is beautiful in everything that has to do with dunya and world and means that get you and simplify your worship even. But now comes the matters of religion. In matters of religion, so what we say in Arabic is ibadah and asl. Ibadah means now it's a form of worship. Asl means Allah prescribed it, like salah. Allah prescribed salah. Okay. Now, if I come in, are there restrictions around salah, or can I do it anytime? Let's take an example. We'll take two examples. Example number one is Dhuhr nowadays should be prayed from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, between 12 to 3. That's the time for Dhuhr. I say, no. I believe that we have to pray Dhuhr after Fajr. You know, Fajr 6 o'clock in the morning, when you say Salaam alaikum, immediately you're supposed to pray Dhuhr at 6 o'clock in the morning. What did Allah say? Pray at 12 o'clock. I'm saying pray at 6 o'clock. I'm innovating in the command of Allah because there's a restriction of time and I'm tightening that time. This is bid'ah and this is haram. Like, there's other forms of worship when there's no restrictions. For example, dua. Dua, raise your hand and ask Allah. Allah says, ask me, pray to me anytime. Allah describes in the Quran, they ask Allah when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're lying down, when they're sitting, when they're standing, when they're praying, when they're in their sujood, they're asking Allah. So I say to the people in the masjid, I'm going to make dua every day after Asr. I'm going to make dua every day after Maghrib. I'm going to do dua after Fajr. Is that a bid'ah? No. It is not a bid'ah. Nobody can come in and say, oh, you're not supposed to make dua after Fajr prayer. No, because there's no restrictions. And there is what we call asl. There's a root to it. The Prophet ﷺ says, do it. Make dua at any time. We want a better example. So let's take an example with a hadith in it, in which the Prophet ﷺ led what's known as Taraweeh or Qiyam al-Layl or Tahajjud. He led Taraweeh in Ramadan the first 3 days, full stop. Years later, at the time of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab had two imams. He said, I want you to do Taraweeh, every night of Ramadan from beginning to end. So some people came to him and said, Sayyidina Umar, this is a bid'ah. Sayyidina Umar said, In kanat hadhi bid'ah, fa ni'mal bid'atu hadhi. This is not a bid'ah. But if it was a bid'ah, this is the best bid'ah you could do. This is not innovating in religion, but if it was innovation, it is the best innovation. Why did he say it's not an innovation? Because did Allah say you can do qiyam anytime? Yes, the end of Surah Al-Muzammil. Allah knows that you and a lot of the people with the Prophet Muhammad do the qiyam this night and that night, some nights more, some nights less, so pray what you can from it. So I can do qiyam at any time. So if I choose the month of Ramadan to specify it, then there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. So if there is a restriction, then I have to follow that restriction. But if there is no restriction of worship and I choose to do it at any time, such as dua at any time, or happy wishes at any time, or this at any time, then there is no tahrim, there is no bid'ah. You cannot go to someone that says Jum'ah Mubarak and say, I'm wishing you a happy blessed Friday, and you say, no, it's a bid'ah. The Prophet ﷺ never said you could say Jum'ah Mubarak. No, he said you can make dua. The words of the dua that I say, I can say it in English. I wish you a happy. Is it haram because the Prophet ﷺ never spoke English? So this bid'ah is when there is a restriction. When there is no restriction, there's a general hukum, then a general ruling, then there is no bid'ah. And that is a mistake, and I need to be very careful saying that something is haram, which is not haram. In that subject, to kind of round it up, there's something called tashabbuh. Tashabbuh is when someone wears something or does something, they say, no, you're copying the kuffar and that is haram. It's a form of bid'ah. When you copy the kuffar, the non-Muslims, that's a form of haram because you're liking them. You're being their like, you're looking like them. So here we want to clarify something. Tashabbuh, in the hadith where it says you're not supposed to copy them or imitate them, are things that are religiously specific to a group, not general things. So let me give you an example. I'm wearing a shirt. If I'm walking down the street, can this shirt indicate that I am Muslim or Christian or Catholic or Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist? No, absolutely not. You would never figure it out if I'm just wearing a shirt walking down the street. If I am eating a hamburger, is that going to decide to you that I'm Muslim or Christian or Hindu or Buddhist? Or no. So this is not copying the kuffar. This is not imitating the kuffar. What I wear, my haircut, the watch, I wear it on the left hand or the right hand, or what kind of, or I have an iPhone, or no. Those things are habits, those things that are cultural, those are things that are whatever that is common amongst everybody. Now, let's look at a specific example. If I walk down the street with a cross, are you going to sit there and say, maybe he's Jewish, maybe he's Muslim? No, wearing a cross, he's a Christian. So you're liking the kuffar in this case, and that's the haram. If I walk down with the Star of David and this little cap over here that is known to be for the Jewish people specifically, and I go and wear it, the Star of David, this is liking or dressing like them, which is what is haram. Okay, so the distinction is if something is specific for a religious group other than a Muslim group, specifically for that group, then we do not copy and imitate that one. But general things of culture, general things of dress, general things of communication and whatever that are general, that are accepted by all, that do not indicate that you're specifically this group or that group, that is not the liking. That is not the tashabbuh. So I hope this kind of summarizes the meaning of the bid'ah, so we're not using it lightly. And we realize that if something is specifically restricted by Allah and the Prophet ﷺ, then we do not innovate in that specific religion, in that specific religious matter. But if there is a general rule of read the Quran or make dua or pray, and then I do that at a specific time or a specific instance. I want to do it after the salah. I want to do it after the salah. I want to do it before the salah. I want to read the Quran every Thursday night at this time. I want to teach this subject at this specific time. I want to praise the Prophet ﷺ 1,000 times and do dhikr at this specific day or this specific day. That does not fall under the bid'ah 100%. قل هذا القول واستغفر الله لي ولكم من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم.